Hey everybody, welcome back to Timeout with Tackle What's Next, our first time out of the new year. Timeout with Tackle What's Next, we speak with athletes and execs about how sport has made a difference and changed the course of their lives and the lessons they've learned in life outside of the game. I'm your host, Danielle Berman. I'm the founder and CEO of Tackle What's Next, where we help athletes create an impact outside of the game and find their purpose in life after sports. I know this afternoon the world changed news cycles, so thanks for taking a break from the chaos going on right now. I hope everyone's safe. I hope everyone is taking some time to stay safe and be home. Thanks for taking the time out here with us at Tackle What's Next. And today we're talking to Sivonnia DeBarros. Sivonnia is the founder of DeBarros Law Firm, and she runs a boutique practice that's dedicated to serving our clients' interests through business, employment, and sports and entertainment. In June 2020, she published the best-selling book, What Are You Sporting About? And this book was designed to help pros in sports business find their purpose and build foundations that will create sustainable businesses. She has since released a podcast with that same name, What Are You Sporting About? And she played sports, so she's a track and field athlete and Division I college athlete. So we're really, really excited to have Sivonnia here. I see she's on. I'm going to bring her on screen, former track and field athlete, D1, and founder of DeBarros Law Firm. All right.
Hi.
Hello. How's it going?
Hi. Good. Can you see me okay? I feel like my screen is darkened now that it's live.
It's a little bit dark, but I can still see you.
Okay. Do you want me to let me move these over. If that works. I don't know if that will work or not.
I think it might.
I've been
Either way, we can still see you at least to
okay.
see what you're doing.
All right.
Oh, that's better.
That's better? Okay. Great.
Thank you for.
Hi.
I'm so excited we're doing this. It's been a long time.
Me too. Yes, it has been. I'm so honored to be on your show.
Thank
So
you.
this is exciting.
I'm so excited to, share with our network all the awesome, exciting stuff you've been doing. And I guess just to start off, tell us what you've been up to. You published a book in June. You have the podcast. What have you been up to, this past year, really?
Okay. I've been up to so much. So as you can imagine, my law practice in itself keeps me busy with serving my clients' interests. But towards the end of 2019, I really had the desire, as I looked inward, to figure out what my message was to the world, to write What Are You Sporting About, the book. And so at the start of 2020, that was one of the goals that I really focused on, and I was able to finish writing that book by March. And so scheduled it out to publish in June 1. And prior to that, I started doing webinars called Conversation Starters about what are you sporting about.
Mm-hmm.
And as I saw how the conversations were flowing and the way people were responding to it, I said, oh my gosh, I need to start a podcast for this. Because you can technically have a ton of webinars, but it's exhausting if you did it that way.
Sure.
And so since launching the podcast, it's funny because I did not have that in mind, but I ended up starting the podcast the exact day that I published What Are You Sporting About?
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep. So that was really, really cool. Aside from that, I've just been building that brand. I still feel like I'm in 2020. I'm about to say this year. I've been building that brand pretty much all of 2020. And so going into this year, I'm just going to try and keep that momentum and keep building that brand, because it is a brand that, of course, I needed a way to talk to professional athletes in business, to get them to understand that I know you want something greater for the next generation, right? This is one of the reasons why you have even gone this far in your sporting career. But if certain things aren't put in place along the way, you don't even realize any of that later. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I needed to find a way to speak to this particular demographic, to reach them And this has been the mechanism that I've been able to do that. And so it's been challenging, of course, like everything worth having and building. But it's so rewarding because no matter how much rejection I get, there's like twice more yeses and people who, when you're working in your purpose, people who are really on board and want to see you succeed and want to help you actually get there.
I love that. And I think it's so true. Like you have to get through the no's to get to those awesome people that are going to be like, this is exactly what I need. I'd love to do it. And,
Yep.
you know, I think we've talked about how this past year has taught us about moving forward, and you've used the term fear in terms of how you've moved forward. But what has changed for you in the last year, you know, in terms of your business, your endeavors? It sounds like most of your stuff is digital, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But in terms of, or virtual, I should say. But tell us what's changed, or what mindset have you adapted with 2020 ended?
Yeah. Personally, I would say confidence, because so let me just back up for a second, because I've always been this type A person, even as a kid. I've never been afraid to pretty much say what was on my mind, you know, and sometimes I don't go over well with certain people. And through the years growing up, being so outspoken, being a boss, you know, let's just call it what it is, because some people just don't know how to really groom that particular characteristic. But growing up that way and having people pretty much get on you because you are that way, it created this type of, I don't know, this mindset where I didn't feel like I was good enough. Right. And so in 2019, when I had this ideal and wanted to actually write What Are You Sporting About, I was stuck with fear, you know, just I couldn't even move because I was so afraid of all these hypothetical things that could happen that hadn't even happened yet, right? And realizing how that anxiety has kept me from actually living in my purpose, because me wanting to represent professional athletes and people in pro sports, people who want to get in pro sports, people who are creating and maintaining 6- and 7-figure businesses, that didn't start overnight.
Yeah.
And it's exactly with professional athletes. This is not the first time I've wanted to talk to them or represent them. This happened a long time ago, but being shut out and having that fear and having that anxiety of feeling like, okay, they're going to make me feel like a crazy person for just, you know, talking to them like, who are you? You're nobody. You know what I mean? That fear, that anxiety kept me from actually moving and living in my purpose, regardless of the other things that I desired to do. That was one that kept me stuck. And so when I made the decision to move forward in 2020 with my mantra, no fear, no matter what came up, I just kept telling myself no fear. And so that's one of the things that actually changed and helped me to move in year 2020 with this pandemic, because I didn't even know that was going to happen, which is the beauty of, you know, the spirit realm. Is like when we start praying and really asking for things to prepare us, I didn't even know that all of this stuff was going to happen, which actually created another layer of anxiety for other people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So aside from that, just growing my confidence. So moving forward with no fear, just saying you can do this because you have the power. Everything you have is already inside of you. You know what I mean? Like our Almighty God did not give us the gifts that we have, the platforms that we have, you know, to be afraid to actually work within those gifts and those purposes. The power already is within me. It's within you. It's within everybody. And so along with that comes confidence. You just have to keep reminding yourself that you actually are confident. And so those are two things that I have worked on in 2020 and continue to work on. I'm not going to lie. But it's been going pretty good.
Yeah. And I love that you said, like, it's that fear that, like, all of the things that haven't happened, like, haven't even happened yet, but you're just thinking about them, and it stops you from actually doing the work. Like, I don't know. I know I face that, and a lot of the stuff that I'm pushing out there, and you're right. It's you kind of just have to keep going and be like, you know what? That could happen. Yeah. Guess what? I'm going to keep going anyway. And so I love that. And I think you're right. It really is about like, you already have everything you need. It's the confidence factor. You need to be able to show other people that you can do it. Um,
Right.
and so I want to talk about, because you have these great experiences of like, okay, I sat down, I thought about this, I put this mindset out there. Let's talk a bit about how sports has played a role in who you are and what you've done. And I guess I want to start off with your first sports experiences. Like, what was the first sport you remember playing? How did you get involved with track? You know, all of those kinds of things.
I played all kind of sports. My mom just threw us in so many things. All I remember is I was horrible at basketball, okay? That just was never my deal, period. Could never play basketball. I was so embarrassed one time, and I actually put this in my book too. We were winning, and my butt, so I forgot that they changed sides after halftime. And I shot a basket in the wrong basket, right? So the other team is cheering. I know, I was like, this is not for me. So I played softball, soccer, basketball, and track. Soccer I actually love because I was always fast.
Mm-hmm.
My only problem was there was no representation. And I remember begging my mom to leave that sport because of that. I just felt uncomfortable. I was the only girl, number one, and then I was the only Black kid on the team. I could keep up. My athletic abilities was not an issue, but that was the first time that I recognized feeling left out or inadequate, although I really wasn't inadequate, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because of that lack of representation. And so I actually put this in the book as well. I didn't know, though, from that experience that would be a foundation for what my life would look like later. I didn't know that, because the higher I went in my educational career, you know, the rooms, in terms of Black people in these educational institutions, the numbers really dwindle down when you get past the undergraduate level, you know, and even in undergraduate schools, unless you're going to a full Black college, you ain't seeing no Black people, not like that, you know what I mean? And so by the time I went to law school, it was shoot, there were many classes where I was either like the only one or maybe one of two, but the only Black female in the class.
Sure.
So that definitely, I didn't know at the time, but it when I reflect back on it, I said, wow, I didn't even know this is gonna come up again, you know. But in terms of track, I can't remember. I don't even know why or how my mom put me in track. But no matter what sport I played, my coaches always made a statement of how fast I was. So maybe that was the reason why. But got in track, loved track. You know, it was an awesome experience. I still talk to my college and high school track coaches. They are literally fathers to me. They are truly fathers to me. Yeah.
And so that ties into my next question, which is like, what impacted, you know, you talked about soccer kind of being an example of experiences you'd be in later in life in your education, but what impact did these different sports, and most importantly, did the playing track at a high level in college, what impact did that make on you and what you're doing today?
Yeah, I can definitely say, looking back, just even from a Pop Warner all the way up to college, one thing it taught me was staying and being dedicated, you know, being a team player, knowing that other people do depend on you, because sometimes it's easy to just say, look, I'm going to bow out, you know what I mean? And go on and do my own thing. In middle school and high school, I was a competitive cheerleader. There were sometimes, you know, when the new year come and there's different people trying out their personality conflicts, I'm like, I don't have time for this. You know what I mean? But my dedication to the team was more important to me. You know, it was that saying, like, it's bigger than you type of deal.
Yeah.
And it really drove home for me the commitment piece. Be committed to what you're doing, what you're going to get yourself into. Know what it all entails, because you can quit, right? But if we start that way, that's probably exactly how we're going to finish. And I can definitely say, I think that was the key thing that I got or took away from sports, any of them, is that whatever I started, I always finished. And I'm glad that I actually had a mom who made sure that If you want to do this, you better make sure that you want to do this, because once it's done, it's done. You are staying in this, so that would be my biggest takeaway.
I love that, because I do think that is so important. Like, you can't quit in the middle of the season. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not something you see really a lot of athletes do at any level. And it's because of the commitment, right? You have other people that are counting on you. And I think that's a great point of, it sounds like too, you're bringing all these new projects into existence and these new content pieces and a book and a podcast, and you're going to finish it. You're going to get it to the finish line, whatever that means. Right. So I think that's a great goal. And now, moving into the work you're doing with your law firm, why did you decide to start this? You've branded the protector of athletes. Like, tell us why you decided to create this law firm, what work you're doing, like, why was this so important for you to create that?
So, I've always dreamed of being a lawyer. That was my number one goal, my purpose, overarching purpose in life. I've always wanted to help people, and I was always passionate about the law and very analytical. So that was always a track for me. And I've had this idea, and I will say, I'm going to buffer this because words do have power. And I remember praying and saying, you know what, God, I want to have my own firm. And there was something else I asked for, but I didn't specify I need to have X amount of dollars in the bank. I didn't specify how I wanted that to actually go. So I always thought that I would graduate law school, go to a big firm, work there 5-10 years or whatever, leave there with a stack of cash, and then open up my own joint. Right? That's exactly how I thought it was going to go. I was an excellent student, graduated with an amazing GPA. I interned with the state attorney's office for a year, went and clerked for the attorney general's office. I mean, I did some hardcore stuff. I mean, I left law school, didn't realize it at the time until I reflected back, but left law school a published author. All right. So, I mean, my credentials was not a problem, but no one would give me an opportunity.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can say is because I am who I am. I am a Black female from the country. And I don't know. I felt like I didn't fit the mold. And so one thing about Sivonnia is I don't allow a lot of time to lag behind, because I always feel like time is of the essence. This is one thing I said before the end of 2020. If there's something that you desire to do and you want to do, you need to move forward and do it, because we just don't know when the end will be. Yeah. And so when I graduated law school, took the bar and passed the same year, sworn in that October. And I said, okay, if I don't have a job offer by the end of January, that was by the end of January 2014, which would have been that following year, I'm just going to hang my own shingle, which is what we call opening your own firm. And I didn't have a job offer. I maybe had like 3 interviews or something, didn't have a job offer. So I said, you know what, I have to go out on faith and do this. And that's what I did. And it's been so hard, but it's been so rewarding, because when I started out, I started taking cases that I really didn't want, but it's like, okay, you want to run a business, you need income, right? But as I became more confident in the law, and as a new lawyer, I was able to say, okay, I don't do this kind of law anymore. This is what I do. Only refer these particular cases to me. And so as the years went on, I constantly refined my practice. But being a solo attorney, a person who is not a part of a big firm, some of the rewards that I get is being able to put certain measures in place that I can refine over and over again, doing different things that will actually serve the interests of my clients. So it's actually a win-win. It's been difficult, but it's a win-win, because now I've actually gotten clients who go to those big firms who don't get the same experience when they come to me, So that would be, I think I answered your question.
Okay. And I know we're like a few minutes over time here, so just couple quick questions for you as we wrap. Okay. One, what advice would you give to athletes about preparing for the transition and navigating life after sports?
Preparing for the transition and life after sports, number one, make sure your advisors are who you think they are. Make sure that all of your interests are properly aligned. And do not turn a blind eye to your stuff, right? Of course, you don't know everything, and that's one reason why you need professional advisors, but you still should educate yourself well enough to be able to monitor certain things to make sure that you're in a good place, especially for when that sport ends. And then transitioning after sports, I'm going to just say, go back to what are you sporting about? What is the thing, the underlying thing that gets you moving and ticking every day? What is the thing that you would actually do for free that could bring in actual income? So go back to that, because technically that will be your purpose and the thing that will help you easily transition from sports.
I love that. And final thing is what is next for you? What's coming up, and where can people find and engage with you?
Girl. Okay, so I got so much stuff going on. One, I don't want to give away yet, but I will say this. In the summer, and I haven't put out flyers or anything yet, but in the summer, I'm going to be releasing my book called Name, Image, Likeness, Have Your Say, and that's SAE, Student Athlete Entrepreneurs Game Plan. All right, so that's going to come out this summer of 2021. I'm super excited about that. And people can connect with me. Please follow me on Instagram, y'all, because we need some followers, seriously, at What Are You Sporting About? And you can also check out the website at www.prosportlawyer.com. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast and shoot me a registration form too if you're interested in being on the podcast.
Awesome. Well, Sivonnia, this was amazing. Thank you so much for being here, coming on the show. I hope everyone watching live and tuning in later goes and follows Sivonnia, checks out What Are You Sporting About. And Sivonnia, thanks for coming on. We'll see you guys next time on.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. You too. Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. Ciao.
Bye.